Welcome to Blooming Wildwood Homestead and Happy New Year. I hope that you've had a wonderful holiday season and that you were able to take some time to reflect over the past year, things that you've been able to accomplish around the homestead, things that have gone well for you, and maybe some things that you want to change or some new goals that you might be ready to set for the upcoming year. Even though sometimes it seems like a new year is just really a continuation of the old, I do love that it has that idea of having a fresh start, and we have the opportunity to reflect on the things that have worked and maybe haven't worked, and also set some goals for the future, particularly this time of year as we will be coming into the growing season before too long. I know that sometimes the winter feels really long and it can get kind of monotonous and just dreary, especially in the Pacific Northwest, but as we are looking ahead at the calendar, before we know it, spring will be here and it will be time to start some of those outdoor projects and get working on the garden as well. So I love being able to take some of this time and kind of think through some of the things that I want to accomplish in the upcoming year. Making resolutions is always a very popular thing to do this time of year, but I don't really find that I myself stick to them very well. And statistically speaking, it looks like a lot of other people are challenged with that as well. And so as we're kind of looking ahead to maybe how we want to make the most out of our future days, what are some different ways that we can accomplish that, and maybe some goals that could be set that could really help us to be intentional as we're moving forward in this new year. So today I want to kind of give some ideas and some thoughts on some things that might be helpful as you're considering what kinds of goals and things you might want to set for the upcoming year. So as you're thinking about setting things up, it really does help to kind of know yourself and know what might be helpful for you as you are trying to achieve your goals for the year. Sometimes people find it really helpful to join different challenges, and so a lot of times you will see different challenges available this time of year. One thing that is happening right now, and it's going on through I think March 1st, is the Pantry challenge, and that is something that I have participated in the past, and it can really just be a helpful way to think through utilizing the things that are in your pantry. I don't know about you, but sometimes my pantry gets a little bit sloppy at the end of canning season. I want to clear off all my counters, and so I go to put things in the pantry and I don't follow best practice, and so it makes rotation a little bit hard, and then some things get kind of buried in the back. So it's nice to take some time and kind of clean that out, and I find that a pantry challenge can be helpful in trying to do that. So I will link below to some different videos that you might find helpful on the topic. Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead is the one who kind of spearheads the pantry challenge, and so she starts that, and really you get to set your own rules as far as what you want to do as far as spending money. So some people say they're not going to buy anything from the grocery store for that period of time, and so they will reallocate that grocery budget to other areas. Some people like to kind of rework the budget a little bit and use out of the pantry and then utilize those funds for maybe buying more bulk purchases, so you can kind of stock your pantry and restock it in a different way for the upcoming year. Some people will just say that they're going to buy maybe dairy or a few fresh items, and so they'll reduce their grocery budget for the month and then really intentionally use from the pantry. So I'll link a few things that I think might be helpful for you, and just consider if that might be something that would motivate you. You don't have to do it for the whole time. If you've never done it before, maybe just try it for a week and see how it goes. Maybe you might want to do 2 weeks, and try it and see if it's helpful to you or not. I find that when you do a challenge or something like that, it does help you to really intentionally look at what you have, because sometimes things get buried at the bottom of the freezer, or like I said, they end up getting pushed to the back of the pantry and we forget we have them. So when you have a challenge and you're really trying to clean things out and use up what you have available, it does help with that rotation. The other thing that I find happens during a pantry challenge is that sometimes it will help me to be a little more creative. I tend to really like to follow recipes. So if I don't have particular ingredients, sometimes I will just avoid making that recipe, or I will just think, oh, I need to add that to my grocery list the next time I go to the store. So when I have a pantry challenge or something like that, sometimes it helps me to be a little bit more creative. So if I don't have an ingredient, I can think through maybe a substitution that I could make, or maybe I can figure out a way to modify the recipe that would work without having that particular ingredient. And I'm not always that creative on a regular basis, and so sometimes having a challenge or something like that can really help me in that way. So that might be something that could help you as well. One of my goals for this year is to try and finish unfinished projects. Sometimes I overestimate the amount of projects that can be accomplished in a certain amount of time, and I underestimate how much time certain things are going to take me. So last year I had kind of some big projects and it took me longer than I wanted it to, and so it caused other things to be pushed by the wayside. One of the things that I think could be helpful for myself this year is to take on fewer new projects, even though we all know I'll probably find something new. But try to take on fewer new projects and try to finish up some of the old things. One of the things that I want to work on is kind of getting rid of that all or nothing mindset. I think that's one of the things that has prevented me from finishing some projects as well, in addition to time estimation issues. But sometimes I won't start something or work on something because I don't have enough time to complete that project. And then it kind of feels like, well, what's the point? But in reality, a lot of projects could be chipped away at in 20 or 30-minute increments, and that would be progress towards completing something. And so by trying to kind of reframe how I look at things, perhaps it will help me to finish some of those tasks that I have left undone. So one of the things that I want to work on is allotting time in a different way in order to accomplish those tasks. Another thing that can be really helpful when you are trying to work on setting goals is to break things down into smaller parts. When I'm thinking about goals that span over the course of an entire year, it is easy for that to kind of go by the wayside because you forget about it and you don't really work on it until it's too late, or it ends up being a bigger project than you anticipated. And so again, if we've underestimated the amount of time it's going to take, then it doesn't get done at all. And so trying to work on breaking things down into smaller steps can be really helpful. For example, if you are trying to work on expanding your garden this year, maybe you want to put in more bed space, it might be helpful to start kind of mapping out what that's going to look like, or if you're going to be building beds or purchasing beds, what might that look like, and how could you break that into smaller pieces and get started on it earlier so that when planting season comes, you have that space ready and available to use. So taking some time now to kind of think through what are some of the big goals for the garden or the homestead, and maybe what are some smaller pieces that can be done over the course of the year. The other thing that is helpful in goal setting as well is kind of mapping out some of those time-bound things. So there are some tasks that can be done really at any time. It's not a big issue. There may be other things that you want to work on that have a specific time where they need to be accomplished. For example, if you're starting plants from seed, different plants need to be started at different times before your frost dates and things of that nature. And so it's kind of a timing thing that you want to try and pay attention to and be mindful of. Other things that are sort of time bound and are on my list of things to do are definitely pruning and kind of getting berries and trees ready for the upcoming season. And so those are things that need to be done while the plants are dormant, so that once we get the warmer weather and they're ready to take off and grow, I'm not scrambling trying to get some of those things done. So these are just a few of the things that I've kind of been thinking about when it comes to goal setting and really setting up for a strong start to this year. I hope that some of these ideas were helpful to you as we are looking forward to the new year. I hope that you're excited about the things that this new year will bring. And as much as I like a fresh start as far as the year goes, the beautiful thing is that each and every day gives us the opportunity to start fresh and new. And that's a wonderful thing that we need to be able to take advantage of each and every day. I'm looking forward to this year and all of the things that I'll be able to share with you. And I hope to see you back here next time. Until then, bye everyone.